So Battlefield 6 has been out for about a week now, and everyone is starting to really settle into this game, understanding the mechanics and generally feeling a lot more comfortable. There are of course some bugs that need to be fixed, but we're on a good path here. There's plenty more for you to learn though. Over the last few days, I've been collecting together a bunch of tips, tricks, and hidden details that you may not know about, all of which will go some ways to making your experience with the game that much better and more enjoyable. So, if this video goes on to help you in some way or you enjoy it, hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel as well if you haven't already. We're closing in on 1 million subs over here, and I want this channel to be the #1 destination for Battlefield 6 videos, news, streams, updates, gameplay, and even more. Season 1 kicks off in just a couple of weeks, so even though we've only just started with Battlefield 6, there's so much more content coming. And if you have any other tips that you haven't seen others talk about that aren't in this video or my previous one, then please leave them down below in the comments and help out some others. Right, let's get into things. First up, have you been set on fire yet? There's a couple of incendiary gadgets and grenades in Battlefield 6 that will catch you on fire, and your character will start yelling and screaming to let you know things are getting a little bit warm. What's the easiest way to save yourself, you might wonder? It's stop, drop, and roll. Hit the prone button when you've been set on fire, and you will stop the fire from ticking away all of your health. Obviously, don't go prone in the fire itself. That's not going to save you. Move away and go prone. Next, don't use sniper rifles off of the Recon class. Poor Stod. When he found out about this, he nearly lost his job. As a way of indirectly buffing the Recon class and sniper rifle combined, promoting the use of signature weapons on the classes they're intended for, sniper rifles have an inherent inaccuracy built into them that kicks in randomly every few shots if they're not being used by the Recon class. So see here in Stod's clip, he's bang on target, and sometimes the shot just completely misses. So essentially, if you're planning to use a sniper rifle in Battlefield 6 and you actually want your shots to go where you're aiming, use them on the Recon class exclusively. I'm sure you've seen plenty of people doing the combat roll in Battlefield 6 by now. If you haven't, hit your jump button as you fall from a height and it will put you into the combat roll and keep you moving. But did you know the combat roll has some height limits? Any height under 8 meters or so, and you take 0 fall damage in Battlefield 6. Over that height, and whilst you won't be killed, you will take some damage that can be negated with the combat roll, and anything higher than that, and you may well die from your fall. So it's definitely worth using the combat roll on smaller drops. At about 14 or 15 meters or so, you will start taking a lot more fall damage in this game, but once again, if you activate the combat roll, you can start to negate some of that damage. Without the roll, you take about 75 damage from a fall, and doing the combat roll reduces that to about 50 damage. I'm not sure what the exact height is. It's hard to tell depending on what building you're jumping out of, what angle you jumped at, whether you've got any momentum, like were you running forward before you jumped. There are a few variables here, but I found 14 to 15 meters is where you start taking that damage. If you go above 15 meters, you'll start taking lethal damage, and you will die regardless if you try and hit the combat roll or not. And I think this is really good info to know. After a while playing different maps and getting a feel for it, you're going to start to know if the drop you're about to take is going to be without damage, if it's going to hurt you, or if it's going to kill you, or whether you can get away completely without taking any damage by doing the combat roll. I've seen a few conversations around tanks being quite hard to destroy with the spawn amount of explosives that certain classes have. Like for example, engineers spawn with 3 RPGs, that doesn't take down a tank, you need a 4th one. Well, did you know that if you actually hit the tank from the rear with the RPG, you'll do more damage than hitting it from the sides or the front? And that's because at the back of the tank is where the least amount of armor is present. It leaves it weaker than the front or the sides. So if you see a tank that's in a good position to be taken down, try and reposition yourself so you can land the shots on the back where you will do the most damage. And even better, if the tank is already weak, you might be able to take it down with one quick hit to the rear. The Sledgehammer might be one of the coolest additions to Battlefield 6. Not only can it perform some brutal takedowns and melee kills, but it destroys cover and buildings faster than some explosives can. I found it to be very useful in the denser, more infantry-focused sections of the maps, where creating new pathways can actually be the key to breaking up an enemy's position, and it can massively change how a map flows once it's been used to create those new pathways. So if you haven't tried it yet, equip it onto a class and see what chaos you can cause. Plus, it's got this unique ability at the moment to donk friendly recon drones and send them flying up into the air. So get a teammate to spawn in the recon drone and then hop on it with another friend who's also got the sledgehammer equipped with you, and then start beating off the drone. And voila, you've just sent yourself into space. And whilst we're on the subject of melee weapons, it is worth remembering that if you've got the knife equipped instead, switching to it and sprinting yields a higher movement speed than just running around with your gun out. The sledgehammer, being that much heavier, doesn't give you the movement speed bonus, but instead you get to smash everything to pieces, so I think that's a pretty good trade-off. Smoke grenades are extremely powerful in Battlefield 6, but they've changed in one important way from the open beta. They're now fixed onto the support class. This puts greater emphasis on support players being the ones who can help obscure and occlude their team's movements from the enemy. You can block key lines of sight with the smokes, you can chuck them down on fallen teammates to provide a revive in soft cover, you can fake out moves across certain areas by chucking a smoke in one direction and then moving in the other, and you can cover objectives in smoke as you're trying to take them, making it harder for an enemy to know where you might be. Plus, you can carry up to 3 at once, and they replenish extremely fast from supply bags. Right now, I think they might be the best grenade in Battlefield 6, so if you're a support player, make sure you throw them down and help out your team. Next up, please wait a little bit longer if you've been downed. The amount of players I see immediately skipping revive opportunities in Battlefield 6 is unreal, especially when they're usually surrounded by team or squad medics who could revive them in a matter of seconds. If you wait just a little bit longer, you'll often find a medic who moves over to you to give you a revive. Plus, it's actually really important that you don't immediately skip and go for a new spawn. Getting downed in Battlefield 6 doesn't affect the score or amount of reinforcements that your team has left. This is tied to you spawning back in. So if you wait for a revive, you're saving a ticket for your team. Every time you skip and respawn, when you could have waited a few seconds for a revive, you're taking away a ticket from your team's score. Did you know that the support defibs can be charged up to improve the health of revived players? When you see a player in need of a revive, whip out your paddles and hit the fire button as you're moving towards the player. You'll hear a beep, it's fully charged, and then you can zap your friendly soldier and revive them to full health immediately. If you were to just move over and tap the player with uncharged defibs, you'd revive them with a much lower health value, potentially leaving them vulnerable when they then stand back up and needing to find a supply bag to quickly regen their health. And, added bonus here, once you charge the defibs, you can actually hit 3 revives in a row fully charged. This is perfect for those moments around a choke point when there's multiple down friendlies on the ground and you can have them all up and working again in an instant. Now, I see a lot of people say that the defibs are massively overpowered in this game, they revive too fast, people are getting back up too quickly. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. All you gotta do is look at the revive stats from the open beta. Nearly 5 billion kills in the open beta, only 30 million revives. Those are some abysmal rookie revive numbers. You gotta pump up those and give your local blueberry a light paddling. On Mirak Valley, the crane provides a pretty cool destruction moment during gameplay and can massively change the landscape down on the ground when it's collapsed. But did you know the crane has a hidden second ability? It's this lovely concrete pipe over here. It can crush anything that happens to be underneath it, as expertly showcased here by my good friend Flakfire. A pretty cool little element that no one had really noticed when the game launched, but now you know about it, I wonder how many of you will be able to destroy a tank with it. Has anyone managed to destroy a chopper flying underneath it yet? That would be a pretty cool only in Battlefield moment. Now, this next tip should be pretty obvious, but there's an additional element to it that I'm not sure many people will have noticed just yet. Play as a squad with your friends in a party. Not only does playing as a squad in Battlefield 6 allow all the class abilities, gadgets, and traits to intertwine and work together, but you also get additional XP for doing so. If you're in a party with your friends, you'll activate an additional XP boost, rewarding you and your friends with greater progression. There's also an additional 5% XP boost for simply owning Battlefield 6. Is that hinting at some free-to-play elements coming to the game very soon? I wonder. There are plenty of doors in Battlefield 6's maps that you can interact with in different ways. You can walk up to them and open and close them, and you can full sprint at them, smashing them open on your way through. But did you know there's a third way that you can approach them? If you walk up to the door and then aim down the sights of your gun and then hit the interact button to open the door, it will open slowly. In a fast-paced game like Battlefield 6, this third use might not be the most popular option, but if you were looking to go on a sneaky flank and you didn't want to grab the attention of all the enemies in a quieter part of the map, then this is definitely a tactic that you can employ. And then lastly, this is a PC-specific tip that I think helps improve the look of your game. Sorry, console players, unfortunately you cannot change this setting at the moment. Head to your Documents folder, then Battlefield 6, Settings, whatever launcher name that you've got the game installed via, so that's Steam, EA App, or Epic Games Store, then open the profsave_profile file in Notepad. Once in there, hit Ctrl F and type weapon DOF and hit enter. The entry that should be highlighted should be gstrender.weapondof_1. Change that number 1 to a 0 and then save the file. This change stops your weapon having a depth of field effect applied to it, and right now there isn't a toggle in the game settings that allows you to control this, so you have to do it in your documents manually. This makes your weapon pin sharp at all times without any weird blur over the top of it. So that's a bunch more tips, tricks, and details for Battlefield 6. Remember, leave your own ones down below in the comments section. I might well make another video in the near future, and I'll certainly be making one for the launch of Season 1. We're getting new maps, weapons, battle pickups, vehicles, and more. And of course, the BR is looming over our heads too. So subscribe if you don't want to miss that. I'll catch you soon.